Hey, it's Dave with Fine Home Talks, and we're here with Kathy.
Hey, Dave.
Well, Kathy, we've gotten into this. We can go for hours on this, but I kind of want to just jump right in
Please.
to probably the biggest part of what CAPS or certified aging in place,
Yes.
the biggest room that we target for people that might be thinking about mobility, challenges, and there's just so much to do. But maybe let's just jump right in.
Yeah. So I think when you're talking about someone getting older and they're having issues with mobility, and we need to make some changes, we have finite resources, right? So we have to figure out, well, where are we going to get the best bang for our buck? If you look at it statistically, where most falls occur in the home, can you guess?
Yeah, it's in the back. It's
It's the
getting into the shower.
bathroom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's getting in and out of the
So
shower.
one of the biggest opportunities is definitely in the bathroom and making some changes. And so, um, clearly grab bars are something easy and inexpensive. Now, you and I both know they have to be installed properly, and you have to have your blocking, or at least
Yeah.
have them into studs. But I always recommend to people, when you're planning for your golden years and how you're going to be safe and comfortable in your home, is to do sort of worst case scenario planning. And to me, that worst case scenario planning is, I might be in a wheelchair. I just never know. It's very likely I'm going to be using a walker.
Yeah.
And also, I think all of us need to plan at some point that we're going to need a caregiver
Yeah.
in our home. So in the bathroom, how are we going to make it accessible for ourselves and for our caregiver? And the easiest way to make your bathroom accessible is to put in a curbless shower. And, granted, that requires a certain amount of space to make it have that turning radius that we need. But whenever I hear someone that is planning on renovating a bathroom and they have the opportunity to do this, and I'm not faulting them because they just don't think about it, they don't know. And that's one of the reasons I'm here. Like, I want to stand on top of my soapbox and tell people, think about this and plan for the day when you're going to need these accessibility features in your home. And yeah, maybe it costs a little bit more, 1,000, 1,500 more for
Yeah.
the Schluter systems.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your experience?
Yeah, it's not that much more. And I think what we tell the clients is that it doesn't have to look like it either.
Yeah.
It's there's other terms, universal design.
Yeah.
There's other, you can make the space look where it just looks beautiful,
Yeah.
but yet it still has the functionality of
Well, I sent you that picture, the bathroom that I did. And
right. And
did
no,
that,
you wouldn't even know.
No.
Yeah.
It looks like what we intended, which is a very spa-like
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
But there are no doors on the shower.
Right.
And as a result, we had to continue that beautiful shower tile throughout and waterproof the rest of the bathroom. But it looks.
Yeah. You do kind of almost like a wet room so we'll kind of pitch the whole floor, waterproof the whole floor.
Right.
And I think you made a good point about is the wheelchair, but the caregiver. You
Yeah.
need a lot more space. So if you're going to remodel the bathroom, a lot of times we'll see is you might have to take a little bit out of the room adjacent,
Next to it.
open it up a little bit. I think
Yeah.
around the toilet too is usually not enough space to kind of.
Right. In the bathroom, the picture I sent you, that's exactly what we did. There was a room adjacent that was sort of like a small office type, and we moved the room over just to give us a little bit more breathing room around the toilet.
Right.
Again, for the client and her caregiver.
Yeah.
And then little things like in the shower, I often just will spend time in the space and think about, okay, if I was the client, I'm here in my chair and I have my caregiver, and what we realize is it would be great to have a handheld shower in the front and in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just enables the homeowner and the caregiver to access whatever is most comfortable.
Yeah. The other thing is putting the controls, maybe on the front wall or somewhere where the caregiver can adjust the water first,
Right.
so somebody's not, or if you're, you're going into the shower, you're not turning the water, having to reach in to turn the water, and then it's spraying you.
Right.
You can
And you're
turn it
getting
on.
soaked. And
Yeah.
you
And
need to
then,
be able to reach those controls,
right,
make sure you get it to a comfortable temperature
right,
before anybody gets in
Yeah.
that shower. Yeah.
Yeah, so the shower is the big even I think based off a budget, there is other products out there that are at the home centers that
Yeah.
are a fiberglass. They are kind of like ADA compliant.
Right.
Um
So
and do
I
some
think that's the
fiber.
next best thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And again, you have to think about what we can do within that homeowner's
Right.
budget.
Right. And with the budget, it's like we've had a lot of people say, "Well, assisted living is going to cost me, you name it, 10, 15, 20,000 a month."
Right.
You can do quite a bit of renovating for a year worth of assisted living.
Sure you can.
To
Sure
go
you can.
in and and I think there's programs from the state too that can help.
I feel like the state, our government leaders are trying to find ways and put money at it to keep people at home. Is there enough money out there now for that? No. But I think we're going to see that changing. So Medicaid will pay for skilled nursing facilities and will pay a lot of money. Well, why can't we take some of those funds
Right.
and keep people at home where it's lower cost and they're going to have a better quality of life?
Right.
And I think that's the shift that we're going to start to see, is to have some of those Medicare, Medicaid dollars to pay for what people need to do to stay at home.
Yeah. There's a housing crisis in general.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and there's a aging
The inventory,
crisis also.
the inventory of our inventory is aging.
Yeah.
Our population is aging. It's not a great combination.
But the bathroom's number one. It's the shower, planning ahead, because it's usually you step into the tub or you're stepping out. That's when all
Yeah.
the falls happen.
Right.
Getting that to be a curbless of some sort, and getting the grab bar, so when you're, and then the other thing is that you got to think about is the texture of the tile.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so when you think about keeping someone in their home, the bathroom is very important. But there's a couple of things that I look at, and one is one level living. And aside from the bathroom, the other issue in the home for fall prevention is avoiding stairs. So if we're in a home where our bedrooms are on the second story, is there some space on the first floor, like an unused living room, that we can repurpose and figure out how to make that a master suite with a full bathroom? I'm not a huge fan of stair lifts. I mean, they serve a purpose, but I always feel like there's some potential, if the person really has issues with balance and mobility, to safely get them on the lift and off the lift. But I'm not dismissing chairlifts by any stretch of the imagination. I would just rather avoid stairs altogether.
Yeah. We've seen a little bit with the elevators. I mean, when people think of an elevator, they're thinking it's expensive. But again, in the grand scheme, they're not. You can get little one-story elevator, electric ones that are, relatively, if you can find a corner in the house, or sometimes if there's enough room in the garage area and that goes up 2 stories, we'll put it there, because then it's an easy. But there's other options, because I feel to find a single, story ranch is hard to find too,
In most towns, well, I'm going to speak about the shoreline. We have a lot of 2-story homes, and the percentage of ranches in our town is minimal. And when they do come on the market, they go quickly, and there's a bidding war. And So,
Or, maybe, doing that kind of bathroom in the first floor,
right.
finding, there's a lot of, especially if you're, you're empty nesters,
Yeah.
you have a lot of house to work with.
Yeah. When you think about the colonials that were built, like I think about a home I used to own that was built in the 90s. And if I were living in that house today, there would be a living room in the front and a dining room in the front,
Mm-hmm.
which I would never step foot in those rooms.
Right.
And so that's a prime example where that space can clearly be repurposed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing I look at is how is the homeowner going to get from one space to another?
Yeah.
And so we do need the wider doorways. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying the whole house has to have 36-inch doors, but at least to get them from the main living areas, the
Mm-hmm.
kitchen, the bathroom, the family room, and the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Are those pathways wide enough that if we are in a wheelchair, we can get through? Because let's do it now. Let's not wait until
Yeah.
the day when, oh my gosh, I've fallen, I've broken my hip, and I'm in rehab, and now they're not going to send me home until my house is ready.
Yeah.
Let's plan when you're in your 50s and your 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say how old I am, but I have planned
Mm-hmm.
that. And again, I'm not the normal case because this is my business and my passion.
Right.
But I don't have to think about this, Dave. I never
Mm-hmm.
have to leave my house.
Yeah. And it's an awesome feeling because I think it's so, to be able to just know the future, relax, and enjoy it as it comes.
Right.
And I think that's very difficult for people where, you've been there for 30 or 40 years. And now your health, you don't know what to do. Then you might have to move, and you might really not have to if you kind of plan it.
Right.
And like you said, not waiting till something happens, because contractors are few and far between that know this stuff. But to get on their list to come and get the stuff done, you might, you don't do it after the fact.
Right.
You gotta,
And I think as people tend to not, I don't want to say not trust. Sometimes they don't trust realtors, but sometimes they don't trust contracts.
Right.
Well, how do I know if Dave's coming in
Right.
giving me the right pricing or the right solution?
Right.
And so they have all these questions where if they dealt with it earlier on when they're physically healthy and mentally healthy, they can make the smart choices that are going to serve them well.
And so you're starting up a consulting kind of to do exactly this.
Yeah.
Come into the home. Yeah. So maybe talk about that
Sure.
because I think it's an amazing.
So, at the core, we are realtors. But we've taken that to another level where we combine real estate with home improvement. So if a homeowner knows, I want to stay in this house, and you help me figure out how I can stay here, we put on our consulting hat to look at accessibility and look at safety and identify what has to change in that house. And so we'll develop a scope of work like you've never seen. You'd be like, oh, this is really great. I can give you a quote right
love
off
it.
of this because, you have to be very detailed and specific in what you're looking to have the contractor do. And so, and then go out and find the people with the right expertise and make sure that the contracts are lined up and they're fair for both parties.
Yeah.
And then just kind of stay involved for troubleshooting and helping with material selection and that kind of thing. If someone says, you know what, this house is too much for me, I don't want to maintain it anymore, I'm out of here. That's the realtor hat to say, okay, how can we position this house to get the most we can in this market, and how are we going to help you identify your next place? Many times people don't know, or they think they know. For example, I was telling your wife that there was a woman that we're dealing with that she was all set to go to a senior living community. And the reality was that financially that was not in the cards. So we had to shift gears to say, okay, this is what you thought you were going to do, but now let's step back and figure out how we can plan your next steps in a way that's affordable for you, in a way that you're going to be comfortable and safe. And we totally shifted gears from moving her
Right.
to keeping her where she
Yeah.
was. And there's some people that like, I just don't know what to do.
Right.
Help me.
Yeah. It's such a, it's a very challenging part.
Yeah.
And there's so much security in your home,
Right.
and it's
It's
there's-
comfortable. You know it.
Yeah.
You've been there.
yeah.
But many times it's just like your stuff is what is important to you. Well, we can take your stuff,
Right.
and you still have that kind of link and the connection to
Yeah.
your past
Yeah.
through what we're taking with you. It's just we're leaving these four walls.
Right. So I think it's really, it's a big part of the population, and kind of that's what we've gotten into it. It's I think it's a solution for everybody. So that's exciting, and I think the key takeaways are we can remodel, we can create a bathroom, even like the grab bars. They're coming up with towel bars that look decorative, that
Right.
are actually rated to be able to grab. So you can make stuff in the shower. You can put these tools kind of around where you're not going to notice. It's not going to look like an industrial.
Right.
I know even like the vanities, there's vanities that have the underneath can be taken apart. So if you were to move to a wheelchair, you can kind of roll underneath.
Right. And then you have the facade to cover the
Right.
piping,
Right.
but it's totally open.
Right. So there's so many really cool designs.
And and I have grab bars in my bathroom. And so one of them is the help me.
for the shower.
For the handheld, the
handheld,
slide.
Right.
That is a grab bar.
Right. And no one would ever
No
know.
one would know. Yeah.
Right.
No one would know. But you're right. And so if I go into a home and it looks, there's really high-end finishes in this home, and I'm not just going to go to Home Depot and get a grab bar. No, I'm going to research the hardware they currently have in there, what it looks like, what the finishes are, and I'm going to find a product that will look aesthetically pleasing.
I think Home Depot and Lowe's are great. They serve a purpose, but
Yeah.
people need to understand that there is such a much bigger variety of products out
Right.
there that suppliers that only sell to contractors or to people like yourself that you're having access to. So bathrooms, I think the key thing is just don't be scared of this.
No.
Like, it can be, you might need to remodel your bathroom anyways. Just,
Right.
make it more, like enlarge it, give it more space around the toilet, do that curbless shower.
Yeah.
What a lot of times we'll do is we can do in the areas that we might think we need grab bars down the road, we can put extra blocking.
Put the blocking in there.
Exactly.
But before you cover it up, please take pictures.
Yeah, take some pictures. Yeah, right, exactly. And then you can put it in after.
Yeah.
Think about the tile. I know everybody's liking the shiny large format. Some of that it's a little too slippery.
Slick, right.
So you might have to go with a little bit smaller form, and there's ratings. Like you can go, there's actually ratings on tile.
Yes, there
for
are.
the resistant,
There are.
but it's all beautiful, and it can look nice and
It will look. Listen, if I'm involved in it, if you're involved in it,
Yeah.
it's going to look nice.
And doors. You were talking about doors. There is actually hinges too that we can replace the hinges, and if you're at a 32-inch and you need to just bump it, it will offset the door and give you an extra 2 to 3 inches.
Yeah. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So it's a, and the hinges are.
Can you
50 or
email
si-
me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're like $50-$60, and you have somebody install them, so a couple $100 you've you widen your door a little bit.
I think I did a really good job designing my house.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple things I didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was put a pocket door in my bathroom.
Mm.
So I put a swing door, and then I was living there for a couple months. I'm like, why did I do that? So I had my contractor
Yeah,
come back.
come in and switch it up.
But yes, pocket doors are great
Mm-hmm.
if there's enough room to
Right.
accommodate the
Yeah,
door
for it to slide
going
into.
slide in. But yeah, it's I just try to get people to think about it
Mhm.
and think about we're all getting older.
Yeah.
There's going to be a time when our mobility is not what it used to be. Let's figure out how we're going to be safe in this home or somewhere else, and do it now while we still have the physical capacity and mental capacity.
And you feel in control of it.
Thank you for saying that, because that's the key. You want to do it while you're in control, so that down the road a decision isn't forced on you that may not be what ultimately you would have chosen for yourself.
Kathy, let's leave it at that. 'Cause
All right.
That really ended.
That's a
That
good
ended
one.
it awesome. So.